Hello, hope you're all doing well today. You're listening to Mental Health Matters on the Jefferson Exchange with Jefferson Public Radio and NAMI Southern Oregon. I'm Andra Hollbeck with NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Southern Oregon. And when we talk about health, we cannot discuss complete health without talking about our mental health. On this program, we highlight mental health issues in our community and ways we can improve mental health for everyone. Today, we are discussing children's mental health and how to foster resilience and positive social and emotional health in our youth. And we are talking with Oshri Hakak, who works with NAMI Westside Los Angeles as a school program coordinator. Good morning, Oshri. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So you have a background, Oshri, with NAMI Westside LA. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be such a strong advocate for children's mental health?
Absolutely. Yeah. I work as the school program coordinator for NAMI Westside LA, and I love working with our chapter, our affiliate. The organization has over 600 different chapters across the country.
Yes, and we have one here in Southern Oregon.
Oh, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the way I came into it was actually a bit serendipitous. I'm also a children's author, illustrator, and I've had a book called Stay Alive, which is for older kids and adults, because the topic is quite serious. It's on suicide prevention and awareness, and I had reached out to someone who I hadn't spoken with in years, but I reached out of the blue, and then after catching up, randomly thought, I should mention this book. And he said, you should reach out to NAMI. They'd be interested in that. And then that began our connection and my relationship with NAMI Westside LA, which has been really wonderful space to create materials and develop programming and coordinate programming for kids' mental health, and now all the way from kindergarten to end of high school age.
Was there anything specifically that brought you to a concern for children's mental health, or was it just kind of a nice marriage of an interest and a ability?
Yeah, all of the above. There was, I would say, my closest interface with that has been my brother, who passed away. My older brother passed away about 10 years ago. He had a heart condition, but it was amidst a lot of really serious mental health challenges and struggles that he had been facing for many years.
Okay.
And, multiple situations I've had of quite deep, intense grief, like the loss of my sibling being probably the highest up there.
Right.
Is there are some things that we can never make sense of, but we can make meaning out of.
Oh.
This has been, my work in children's mental health has been a way that I have personally been able to thankfully make meaning out of really difficult experiences and honor my brother and others who I've lost of difficult mental health conditions.
Right. So that personal experience has definitely informed you in your work. Well, tell us a little bit about the writing of your most recent children's book called Life's Rock. How did you come to write that, and what was your process?
Yeah, so it's a great segue from what I shared about the Stay Alive book, because essentially I reached out with the Stay Alive book to NAMI, Westside LA, and the first conversation I ever had with the director, Erin Raftery-Ryan, which is about a couple of years ago now, she said she appreciated the book and was very kind about that. And then she said, well, could you create something for younger kids, for, the 12 and under range? Because, and I don't want to get any statistics wrong, but I believe it's nationwide, the second leading cause of death among, I think it's 10 years old to 34, is suicide. So, and she kind of put it out as a loose prompt, like it would be nice to eventually do that. But it was the next day, or in the next couple of days, I was taking a walk and I was just thinking about that one statistic, and I started tearing up, honestly, thinking about someone, just children that young, feeling that compressed and that much like they had no other options. And so that's where the first draft really came out of a walk very recently after our first conversation, and and it doesn't touch on suicide prevention in a direct way because it's a sensitive topic, and I don't presume to be the one to introduce that to young kids.
Sure.
If someone wants to be, introduce it, like there are people who have read the Stay Alive book to younger kids, but that's really sensitive. So I'll leave that in the hands of the educator or caregiver. But the Life Rocks book is really about resilience. It's about understanding that sometimes things are going to be hard, and sometimes they're going to be amazing, and that's part of life. And then it's about opening up. Then when we're feeling these intensely challenging emotions, well, how do we open up, and who can we open up to, just to create and promote some coping and some. I like to think about as vents, right? There's like a literal vent where steam or high pressure heat. It can come out as a big, really damaging burst, or it can come out through healthy vents. So that was really the origin of the Life Rocks book. And then I reached out to a friend of mine, just so you know the serendipity of this, how this can come together sometimes. There's a friend of mine who, around the time I wrote the book, the first draft, she said, "Hey, my mom painted these rocks. Take a look." And she sent me these photos of these beautifully painted rocks. And in the video version, you didn't see it, but in the paperback, you'll see that there are really beautiful painted rocks in the books as well. So as soon as she sent me those photos, I said, "Oh, I need to talk to your mom because I'd love her to illustrate
for the illustrations."
book." Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the in the book the mixed use of rocks and how to think about rocks and life rocks and all the different meanings of that. You capture that really, really well, I think, in the book. So everyone, you're listening to Mental Health Matters on the Jefferson Exchange. I'm Andra Hollbeck of NAMI, Southern Oregon, and we're speaking with Oshri Hakak with NAMI Westside Los Angeles, who's a school program coordinator there, and wrote a recent book for children called Life Rocks. And so you touched on it a little bit. What do you hope children and parents will gain from reading this book or sharing this book with each other?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the first thing that comes to mind is the enhanced capacity to share and open up.
Yeah, to open up. I like that.
What's happening inside.
Yeah, you were talking about that before. Yeah. And a way to start conversations maybe too.
100%. Yeah, sometimes a book can just be a conversation starter, right? Because there should be, when I do presentations for kids on mental health, I share, well, maybe no one in generations of our family have opened up about these subjects, or maybe the context and environment of mental health is so different than whatever it was, 2, 3, 4 plus generations ago, that we just don't have context and infrastructure, human infrastructure to handle these. So the aspiration would be for the book to help cultivate that human infrastructure of support and deep emotional care.
Yeah, and maybe we used to have infrastructure like that, but some of it's been fractured or lost along the way. So tell us a little bit about resilience, and because in this book you talk of it seems like it's something wanting to foster resilience, and how is it? What is the connection between resilience and a positive mental health, and how can parents foster that resilience in their children?
Yeah, there's a line that is coming up for me as you said that, and it helped me through a difficult time around the time I wrote the Stay Alive book, actually, and I have no idea how I'm going to get through this, but I know that I will. And just that was helpful for me. And then pointing back to this importance of opening up and asking questions. I would say, to parents, being willing to, one, ask questions, and then two, it's easy, and I think there's no shortage of situations where you'll look at, you'll have a parent who's experiencing distress on behalf of their child, right? And which is natural and healthy to a degree. But then the parent might, in that process, it's not infrequent that they'll get kind of, I would say, sucked out of their own inner experience in the process of them being a caregiver and caretaker for the child. And so being able to not just express the care, but then go back in and demonstrate the vulnerability, right? I too have these fears. It doesn't mean that I'm not strong. And, I too feel great sadness. And that doesn't mean that I don't also have joy, right? And so to be able to not just play the caregiving role, but to recognize that the demonstration of that vulnerability is going to be really helpful potentially for that kid to be able to open up, because they're not just experiencing the caregiving, but they're also watching example.
Right, exactly. I'm thinking parents, then it sounds like parents can best foster resilience by developing it in themselves and then modeling that for their kids, and being willing to share that with their kids. Do you have any ideas for parents if they start to be concerned about their children's mental health, and ways to approach that?
Yeah, the word, and I'm not a clinician, but we do, I do talk to a lot of kids, and I talk to a lot of parents and teachers, and what comes up for me, the first thing that comes up is validation, and the importance of validating and helping a child understand that their feelings are valid does something to create a channel of relationship and connection that the child can then feel safe and be empowered to look at their own mental health with support of the parent present, right? And so if the parent is not seeing them, and it might be really hard to see them because it's a really different, I think about, my relationship with my dad, who I love. My dad grew up in a refugee camp, and I grew up thanks to, my mom in ease. And so sometimes we don't have a lot of context for between generations, and it's hard to understand. But as much as we can say, at least, okay, I see this is what you're going through, and I'm willing to continue to see it, and I can listen, I can contain it. And I would say then if there's difficulty validating it, then that might be, back to your point earlier, that might be time for the parent to then maybe find their own therapeutic means to be able to hold that for their child.
Right. Yeah, because it can kind of be scary if you're concerned about your child's mental well-being. That can be kind of frightening, and so finding out a way to deal with that is important too. So I really appreciate this book that you have brought for us, and I hope it gets some good looks. We've ordered it for our library here, our NAMI library that we have downtown Medford, and so it'll be available for people to check out and borrow from there. And we do appreciate you sharing with us this morning your ideas about your book and about how to foster resiliency in children. This is Mental Health Matters with the Jefferson Exchange. I'm Andra Hollbeck, and you can find out more information about NAMI Southern Oregon at our website, namisouthern.oregon.org, or email us at info@namisouthern.oregon.org. This is Mental Health Matters, and I appreciate everybody joining us today. You can find this and other interviews at jeffexchange.org, or you can subscribe to this podcast at Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.